Welcome, Barnyard fans, to our final beatdown battle report between the Adeptus Custodes and the Drukhari. How did this come to be in such a valuable solar system? Well, after emerging from Komora in search of a resupply, the Drukhari quickly found themselves ambushed by emerging Necrons who wanted to retake their planet. Though the tired Necrons stood little chance against the Aldari and were disposed of, only for the Drukhari to look up and see reinforcements arriving in the form of Craftworld Il Solis. Before this recruiting Craftworld could make contact, they were ambushed by the Adeptus Custodes, who came on Golden Light to purge the Xenos threat and take this Craftworld for themselves, alongside their brethren the Death Watch, who approached from the west, bringing with them a storm of firepower large enough to cleanse Arthon of its orc population, led by Golda Shoulder. Before these two forces could rendezvous, they were met by an approaching Tau force of Farsight Enclave's Tau, who had just finished defending their outpost on Namibius Prime, against none other than Mortarion and his Death Guard legions himself. Perhaps feeling too proud, the Tau bit off more than they can chew by flying head-on into the Custodes. They were quickly cleansed, but after defeating them, they realized the bloodthirsty Death Watch had gone in for the kill on the Drukhari alone. Perhaps it was a cruel trap or the twist of Khorne, but the Drukhari were able to eradicate this force of Death Watch in an ambush before the Custodes even noticed. Now we find ourselves at the final battle. Who will take the prize of Pavonus for themselves? The proud and loyal Adeptus Custodes, or the cunning and vicious Drukhari?
Alright, so on to the final. In terms of goals, I beat Neil, so I guess now I stand in the way of our protagonist Jordan. I will be the villain and hope that he can somehow beat me in this beautiful game today.
Back again. Won the last game. I wish I came in here to just have fun, and I'm definitely doing that. Now it seems I'm facing the grand villain that has arisen from this tournament, so we'll see how I go. Hopefully I can win. I don't know. I've never faced Drukhari, Dark Elder, what the hell they're called nowadays, but I'm crossing my fingers. Help.
Today's game is Priority Target. Players must fight this final battle for the control of Pavonus by attempting to hold one objective for 5 points, 2 for 10, and more than their opponent for 15 points. The players have also moved 2 objectives each up to 6 inches and elected a priority objective that you can hold for the mission secondary.
Secondaries for today, I'm going with my classics, engage on all fronts, deploy scramblers, and I refuse to call it anything else, and we're playing priority targets, so I will take priority targets. It's a super easy mission secondary.
Secondary wise, I have Stranglehold, Grind Them Down, and Priority Target. They're all fairly simple for my army. Like, the mission one, as my opponent has already said, like, it's easy to achieve. Grind Them Down because I'm Custodians and I suck at actions. And Stranglehold because, I'm Custodians and I suck at actions. Don't need it, I'm good.
A very quiet turn 1 begins as both players scout each other, determined not to take the first turn. The Custodes are the first to move and shuffle all of their units forward slightly. With the tank taking the bottom right flank, the bikers on the top, and some termies and guard in the middle. With only a very small bit of shooting across the board, everything either misses, doesn't wound, or is saved by our in-house villain. All aside from some bolter shots from the Coronis Grav tank into Jack's Succubus Raider for 3 wounds. With no charges to be done, Jack takes his first turn. Taking some notes from the Custodes and shuffling ever so slightly onto the table, the Coven's blob of 4 Talos, Homunculus, and Homoxites take a stride towards Jordan's bikes, while some Grotesques protect the damaged Raider, following some birds and a Venom filled with Cabalite warriors in the bottom right. Mandrakes and another Venom guard the back point, and Draz remains safe in the center of his army. With no Psychic to be seen in our final game, Jack also moves straight onto the shooting phase, with very little to shoot as well. 4 Heat Lancers from the 2 Talos in range fire into Jordan's bikers in the top left. He spends a CP to use Transhuman, so he can only be wounded on a 4+. Jack does get 1 wound through though, which Jordan does not CP, but Jack does after rolling a 1 for the damage, becoming a 2 and wiping out one of those bikers.
Oh, yeah, we'll CP that.
Get 1.
Jack then fire and fades for another 2 CP into the top left table quarter for engage on all fronts in turn 1. The only other shooting comes from his various boats, where all the Splinter does nothing against the thick golden armor, and luckily for Jordan, both of Jack's Dark Lance Raiders miss. To end this short turn, the Venom in the bottom right charges in against Jordan's Coronis Grab Carrier to secure max points for engage on all fronts this turn. Surprisingly, it even does a wound, while the Grab Tank does nothing in return. This turn, Jordan spent 2 CP, taking him down to 10 remaining, and gains 3 points for a priority target, while Jack spent 4 this round, leaving him with just 6 left, gaining 6 points this round. 3 for engage on all fronts, and 3 for priority target as we move on to round 2.
Alright, so turn 1 was really interesting from both of us. We're both kind of just setting up into our defensive positions. I made a nice 8-inch charge on a bike to get engage point, or not on a bike, sorry, on the transport to get engage, which is always fun. Fire and fading Talos for it as well, so we're pulling out all the stops for 3 engage points. Jordan's gonna score temporarily this turn, can't really stop that, but I think I'm gonna just have to play the game on the secondaries and try and make sure that I get in there.
Turn 1 went about how I expected it to, with me going first. I really didn't want to go first because I played hyper defensive, knowing the fact of there's some Heat Lancers coming my way, and his arm is all about melee, so I want to be able to react to where he moves. So unfortunately, got for turn 1, didn't do anything, but I'm on some objectives. I'll have to just play to the primaries. Secondaries I think are going to be a little bit of a struggle this game round, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Jordan's turn 2 began with his bikers making a slight movement forwards towards Jack's Talos. The Terminators shuffle their way around this smokestack in the bottom towards the Venom, and the Venatari get out of the Coronis, ready to lay down some firepower and take back the point. A Captain Commander and some guards stay back behind the Coronis to support the guard on Jordan's back point. A swift shooting phase then commenced with the Grav Carrier into the Venom in combat, sadly leaving it with just 1 wound.
So wounds, neg 4.
The guard in the top left fire into the Talos alongside the bolters from the bikes, which do a total of 1 wound. Luckily, the melter missiles cut the health of Drazhar's Raider in half. Next up, Jordan's Venatari spend 2 CP, 1 for double shots, and the other to make 6s to hit auto wound, which then eradicate the Succubus's Raider and kill 3 witches along with the disembarkation.
If I lose,
That's 3 ones.
3 witches.
The rest of Jordan's shots either miss or do very little across the whole board, so we move on to the charge phase, where the guard and bikers in the top left charge Jack's Talos, and the Venatari charge the Razorwing flocks. It is worth noting that the Terminators also make a charge on the Venom, killing it instantly, with Jack spending a CP for emergency disembark, only losing a single warrior. Jordan's bikers managed to scratch 4 wounds off the wounded Talos, leaving it with just 2 remaining. Which then interrupt, and Jack very cleverly piles into the guard to attack them as well, using his scalpels one at a time until Jordan takes a save on his storm shield.
Hit. I don't wound. I'll do another macro scalpel.
Yep. I don't know what it does, but punch.
I miss. I hit. I'm gonna keep going until I wound with one. It's the 4th. It wounds.
Yep.
So who's taking this? It's Snake 2.
I'll take on 1 storm shield. There's 2 of the unit.
Yep, cool.
3 up and 4. All good.
Yep. I'll do my Ichor Injectors. So both hit. You take 2d3 mortal wounds. And you've started on a storm shield, so
Does it have to, even though there's no wounds have been allocated
Yes.
he's taking
Why I did it one at a time.
3 wounds, so he dies.
So 1 storm shield is dead.
This means the Ichor injectors that follow with mortal wounds must kill off the shield bearer, and the rest of the attacks do nothing, leaving 2 left. Jordan's 2 guard then finish off the wounded Talos, which doesn't explode, before the Venatari on the other side of the board hit everything, wound everything, and Jack gets no saves. So 12 attacks do exactly 12 wounds and finish off the birds. In Jack's turn, his newly disembarked Kabalite warriors move further into Jordan's zone to sacrifice their lives in completing Jack's action for the 2nd time this game. Jack also spends a CP on his unit of 1 Talos for fallback and charge in the top left, shuffling the Coven's blob forward to combat the bikers and guard. The Succubus, Grotesques, and Incubi all make a sudden advance forward to attack Jordan's Venatari. And to begin the shooting phase, Jack throws his once per game grenade from the Homunculus onto Jordan's guard, doing 2 mortal wounds. And the newly arrived Scourge unit carrying Shredders finish off the Spearmen on 1 wound. The unit of 2 Talos shoot their Heat Lancers into the bikes, only getting 1 wound through, which does 3 damage and leaves a bike on 1 wound. This is then remedied by a splinter storm of poison from the Kabalites and venom holding Jack's back point.
Yes, sir. Always lean on a 4.
Only be wounded on a 4?
3 wounds.
wound on a 4.
3 wounds.
3, 2.
Nice!
Jordan just cannot seem to make a save this game, and 2 more bikers go down. The suffering does not end there. As a huge charge phase begins, Jordan tanglefoots the Incubi to slow them down, which actually works as they fail their charge. However, the Venatari are charged by the Succubus and Grotesques, and over in the top corner, the Guard are charged by 3 Talos, who also go in against the remaining 2 bikers, alongside the Homunculus and Homoxites. Jordan's rolls continue to astound us all, as he manages to fail 7 4+ vulnerable saves in a row for his Venatari against the Succubus, killing 3.5 of them, who are then finished off by the 4 Grotesques. Once again, Jack plays the same tricks with his macro scalpels and Ichor injectors in the top left, as all of those Coven models wipe this top corner clean from all Custodes. To conclude this turn, Jordan had spent 9 command points, taking him down to just 2 remaining, gaining 16 points along the way, 10 for primary, 3 for priority target, and 3 more for Stranglehold, while Jack spent 6 of his CP, taking him down to just 1 remaining, gaining 15 points along the way. Just 5 for primary this round, 3 for priority target, 3 for engage all fronts, and 4 for his data actions, as we see what hope Jordan has left in turn 3.
Jordan gets called a lot of names. 1001s is probably the one that I've known him by for a while, but that was rough. Like, it's never fun to watch like dice go that far one way, especially when like he played that turn so well. Like, Tanglefoot was really good. It denied my Incubi. I had to CP elsewhere for a charge. Basically, I just hope that the luck kind of swings back. I hope that there's a bit more of a game here. Jordan's got a lot of plays. The Allarus is still alive. There's a lot of Custodians still on the board, so we'll see what he can do.
So that was a turn. My old moniker of Lord of 1001s has come back. I think didn't make a single save in one of those combats, which has hurt badly. But I might be able to get myself out of this. There's a couple of tricks I can try and play, but it is looking very dire. Very, very dire.
In his attempt to counteract his bad luck, Jordan takes the offensive by placing some Custodes into the tank and advancing it onto the center point for Stranglehold. The Terminators move towards the point in the bottom right alongside the captain and a unit of guard. The Custodes in the back hold their ground and prepare for a charge on the Cabalites standing right next to them. As we jump into the bolter phase, where Jordan cleans up. 2 witches that were hanging out on the back of this point are cleansed, along with 3 incubi and a wound on the grotesques. The only other shooting comes from Jordan's home objective, which only managed a single wound on Drazhar's Raider, which leads us on to yet another huge charge phase. As I'm sure you can guess, every last golden warrior available charges in against the grotesques, alongside their captain who charges the succubus, in search of avenging their brethren. As a side note, the guard on Jordan's home point do charge the Cabalites as well and make quick work of them after all other combats are finished. But first to go is the captain who swings against the succubus.
I'm strength 6, so I'm only on 2, so I don't need to boost my wounding at all. So hitting, all hit.
Jordan does roll 3 1s to wound and uses a reroll to secure her death. Jack also spends a CP to reroll her 5+ invulnerable save thanks to Jordan's captain reducing it by 1 and still fails as her head is cleaved off. Before an ongoing battle between grotesques and custodes, where 2.5 grotesques are taken down before 2 wounds back to a storm shield guard. With no morale test to be made, Jack's turn begins with another large movement phase. The Coven's blob shuffle forwards towards the center, and the intercontinental ballistic Drazhar is launched in support of his incubi from Jack's last raider. Some witches also get out of Jack's raider and move over towards the bottom left corner to complete Jack's 3rd action for this game for data. The raider hops the wall, Scourge stay where they are, and lastly, we see the arrival of some witches behind the wall in Jordan's quarter, and the mandrakes that Jack elected to put back into reserve at the beginning of the game. A very quick shooting phase takes place, where the mandrakes finish off the storm shield guard with 1 wound left. 6 heat lancers go into the carrier and completely whiff, as does the dark lance from Jack's raider. Before the charge phase begins, and 2 Talos charge alongside the Beastmaster into Jordan's carrier, and Drazhar, the 2 incubi, and the other unit of 5 incubi all go in against the Terminators and guard. Unluckily for Jordan, Drazhar makes his Terminators fight last, as he watches on for a moment as he tears apart 2 Terminators. Although Jordan then interrupts with his captain who had intervened onto the grotesques, allowing him to use Unstoppable Commander and move into the fresh unit of incubi, killing 3 of them and leaving just 2 left. Those incubi manage a total of 2 wounds through on the captain, while the other incubi and Drazhar kill every other model except for 1 Terminator. The Talos also managed to get 7 wounds through on Jordan's transport, and the turn ends with Jordan holding this bottom point with just 2 models left. To conclude the turn, Jordan had spent 2 CP, leaving him with just 1 for next turn, gaining 14 points this round. 5 for primary and 3 for all his other secondaries, while Jack only spent 1 this turn, also leaving him with 1 for the next round, gaining 20 points this turn. 10 for primary, 3 for engage and priority target, and 4 more for completing his data actions. Let's hope Jordan's Custodes left inside his carrier have the power to stop all these Eldari in their tracks.
I think I'm starting to just kill too many Custodes that Jordan might not have a game, but his captain's still alive. I'm running out of incubi, I'm running out of fast combat units. It's now just down to my covens and their little brick. Drazhar is still alive, obviously that's a big deal. Getting him to combat was huge. Jordan's still got a lot of obsec. I'm very much running out of obsec. And yeah, this is gonna be tight. I think Jordan's definitely got some game in him still.
I'm on the back foot. Like, there's no denying I am on the back foot. Drazhar being Drazhar and the nuclear warhead that he is, killed my Terminators. Effectively, I have 1 Terminator left standing, which is not going to do too much, but it can have some utility. I'm still holding 2 points. Jack has a lot less obsec than I do. I'm going to try and bend that to my advantage, but We'll see how it goes. There's a chance. Slim, but a chance.
As we move into the twilight hours of this game, Jordan retreats back a little into his corner with the Coronis grab carrier, hoping his Terminators will clear the center and his one remaining Terminator and Captain can clear away Drukhari from this bottom point. The quick shooting phase begins with the Terminators in the middle, shooting the Incubi who aren't in combat on point 5 and also the Raider, killing the Incubi and leaving the Raider on just 1 wound remaining. The guard in the back also make quick work of those pesky mandrakes who dropped in during Jack's last turn, bringing us to the charge phase, where the Terminators in the middle charge and kill off the Beastmaster, and the guard on Jordan's home point make a huge charge.
Let's do the Hail Mary charge first.
Yes, do it.
Yeah.
12! Yay!
Onto the Witches in the corner, killing off 4 of them and watching as the other one runs away to morale. Leaving us with just the Captain combat in the corner, as the Incubi hit first being the defending unit and leave the poor Captain on just 1 wound after Jordan successfully CPs one of his saves before they are cut down. With all this said and done, Jack's turn begins and so does the cleanup. The Coven's blob yet again shuffles ever closer, surrounding Jordan's poor Terminators as they shoot to kill on the Coronis grab carrier. Drukhari also cleans his blade and walks over towards the Captain with his grots for the final kill. The Witches and the Raider also make their way over, and the Scourge in the top left complete Jack's final action for Retrieve Octarius data. And with an insanely quick shooting phase, the Witches manage to kill off the Captain before Draz can even reach him with their splinter pistols. And the Heat Lancers from the Talos blow another 6 wounds off the Coronis, leaving it with just 4 left, and so it was down to the Raider to finish the job on 1 wound.
A hit. A wound.
This is in the transport, isn't it?
Yes.
5 up.
Yes! It's minimum 4.
Twice what?
My 1 wound Raider.
Oh.
My 1 wound boy.
A super quick combat phase ends this game, as all the Terminators are surrounded and killed, leaving just 4 lone guard cowering in Jordan's corner at the end of turn 4. To round out this turn, Jordan scored a total of 19 points, 10 for primary and 3 for each of his secondaries, while Jack scored another 20, also 10 for primary, with the 3 for engage and priority target and 4 for his last data action. As for the final turn of the game, Jordan does score another 8 points for primary and his final priority target point, while Jack scores another 21. 15 for primary, 3 for target, and 3 for engage in all fronts, only dropping 5 points for primary objectives all game long, and ending our game on 70 to 92.
I may be coming around to the idea that Drukhari are actually quite overpowered. Even with the nerfs, they're still very, very good. Now you've just got some more build paths, like -1 damage, which is very powerful. That game was really fun. Yeah, I feel like it was a really hard game for Jordan, and then I don't normally say dice. Of all the people on this channel that don't say, oh, that game was dice, that was really rough. So he played well. To keep it to like 70, 92 was really, really good. But, yes. We came to Pavernus looking for something, and then we've come back with a lot of Custodian armchairs.
Well, that went how I was expecting it to go at the end there. Oh well, had my butt whooped, but it's part of the fun of the game. I know the Dark Elder are definitely gonna love having some Custodians pieces running around. It was a fun game. Like, the main takeaway, it was a fun game. Even though the gods of luck and dice pretty much shat on me, it was still a fun game. And that's all you can ask for. But I've really enjoyed taking part in all this and hope to be on more, hopefully. The Custodians came here to wipe out all Xenos life. We got 95% of the way there, just that last 5% hurdle.
And with that, the Drukhari have won this planet, and as it started with them, it shall also end with them. We would like to thank you all for watching, and just to remind you that if you would like to support us on Patreon, we would very much appreciate it. We have many more projects to come in the near future, and it helps us out more than you know. Subscribe and like down below, because it's free and you can always unsubscribe later. Check out our company sponsors for all your dice tray, mats and terrain needs. And with that all said and done, we shall see you all in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to the players involved, and a big congratulations to Jack for winning. My name has been Jack. Peace.